the FNL Network talk show.
Hi, guys, and welcome to the FNL Network talk show. I am your moderator, Kay Montgomery. We're so excited about the show we have today. This is an incredible lineup. This panel is going to be dope. We're going to get all into it. First, we have Holly here with us today.
Hello, how are you?
And then we have Eugenia joining us.
Hi guys, I missed you for a couple episodes, but so happy to be here.
And then the one and only Diana.
Hi, Kay.
So we're so excited to have this awesome panel. I love the dynamic amongst this foursome here. So let's just get right into it. We are what has been called a lonely nation. I've been seeing so many studies and different things come out, think pieces about it last year and this year. Specifically, there's a professor named Sheila Liming who says one reason why we're all lonely is because of how we live. Because we're living right now in all these individualized single spaces and they're all far apart, and it's just really difficult for us to connect that way. And she also said we just don't hang out like we used to as a nation. People just don't hang out anymore without anything to do. And I thought that was really interesting. I personally agree with her that we are a lonely nation of people. I think that part of it is the way we live, but then the other part is that idea that we don't hang out anymore. I feel like, especially the generation before mine, I guess I would technically be a millennial. I know my kids have grown up with just like everything being super planned and having play dates and super organized. And when I was a kid, you would just go outside and see who else was outside that you could play with, you know? So we have hangout down, but I feel like as we're aging, getting older, it's harder to make friends and people maybe don't hang out as much as they used to. I wonder what you guys thought about that whole idea of us not being able to make connections and kind of being lonely. And what do you think kind of that comes from? I'll start with you, Diana.
Yeah, I think it definitely comes from technology. I remember when I first got into college, and this was over 10 years ago. I think it's like 13 years now. And all the guys like would be in the dorm rooms across the hall, but playing video games with the headsets with one another. So it's like we could hear them playing the games, but they're not in the same room. Things like that. I'm on the dating scene here in LA. We all use the apps. It's like you're shuffling through a human deck of cards. And someone used the term relation shopping, which it's like you always think there's someone better, like you don't want to settle because there might be someone better, and that hinders how people make connections, I believe. And then also I think the pandemic screwed us over. I mean, rightfully so. We had to stay in our homes for such a long period of time. But I don't know about you guys, like when I was first getting back into public and like meeting people again, I'm like, what does my arm do? Like, I don't know what to do here. I forgot how to socialize. But it is a problem, Kay. I'm glad you brought this up.
I love the idea of relation shopping. It blew my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
True. It's so true. You just don't know. And I agree with you that COVID just like exacerbated everything. Because our social skills, I work with kids and I do a lot of social skill training and coping skills because they are just so behind in that area. And I think we are as adults too. Eugenia, what do you think?
Oh my God, guys, don't get me started. I think AI ruined humanity. That's it. I literally, looking forward, like, I don't know, humans are all about connection, right? We're wired for connection. And I read a lot of books, even like on depression, because, a lot of times my friends have depression and try to understand to kind of be compassionate about it. And they say it comes from disconnection. And Americans treat that with, pills and things like that. But actually, places where you have a community, understanding, connection, that's where brings us happiness. And it's a natural thing. That's how we're wired. And it's very interesting. I just came back from doing a play in London, and we had one rehearsal. We had to do it in a pub. And I noticed such a difference in that culture, the pub culture, because it wasn't about like, oh, it's a business meeting. it's that. It was just people kind of after work talking to each other, connecting. It wasn't about like, oh, you can give me that, I can give that. I feel a lot of times in Los Angeles, Diana, like you said, like there's all this shopping for relationships. I feel like, it's always like, what can you get me? What can you give me? It's not really connecting, listening. I feel after COVID, people I noticed, and I talked to a few people, it became like a club culture because people don't trust. They want to like stay safe. And, it's understandable if you got COVID, you can go to job, you lose like your survival things. So people try to migrate and stay with people who they know already and not really meet new people and go to that extent. Even though I think the technology, like being here with you guys, I feel it's such a blessing, to connect in that way. And we're in different places, but it does take an effort. I know that kids now really struggle with social skills. Nobody talks to anybody anymore. And it is part of an American culture because we're very selfish, right? We're very self-centered. And it's a very different thing, I believe, from Europe, where people are kind of wired to live and, to work for a living and not live for working, I would say, right? Did I say that correctly? So I really felt it with my whole heart, that people communicated and they just noticed how everybody looked. And I feel here we just kind of like became complete narcissists with the social media. I think everybody has narcissistic things. Like I don't believe, they're on the scale people, but now with social media and all the, projections, we'll just project. There's no really thing because we're so distracted. There's no really a place to sit and listen and come from the place of, compassion and curiosity. And I think those are the things that if we ever want to get back and screw AI and stop that, we have to come from compassion, curiosity, and connection. And I do notice that it is a very lonely place. I love, Kay, that you brought up there's no communal kind of areas, because I think it's something that consciously you can, or subconsciously, that is happening. And it's something as a mom, as a parent, I do try, to create for my kids is just a place where they're forced kind of to communicate and not be just shut down in their room. But it is hard because plus on top of everything, LA is not a place where you can just send your kids to play, because especially where we live in the hills, they're just cars like right and left. And as much as I encourage them to be independent, it's a little bit harder than maybe in other mega cities. And then also the news kind of scare us, there's so much like things that you read on all these platforms, and it's fear to letting them just kind of find themselves. I know that when my husband was 10, he was roaming around New York City by himself. When I was 3, my mom kicked me out of the house and I had to find, my school across the field, literally. And it taught me to find anytime my place in the, by connecting to strangers. I think there's no strangers. We're all human on some level. So that's my perspective on that.
No, I think it's a good point. I think it's interesting that a lot of us were raised years ago with like so little supervision, but what we've seen is that actually, if you read studies, or there's this book called Free Range Children, she has all the studies in it, but the world is actually way safer than it used to be, even 20, 30 years ago, especially for children. But we're more vigilant about children's safety. So we also are like crazy about kids walking anywhere, kids going anywhere alone, kids exploring, like that whole thing, right? So I find that so interesting. But I love, Eugenia, also what you say about connection, and I don't know if it's just an LA thing, but that idea that people are wanting to get something from somebody else and they're not actually looking for that true connection. And that's so harmful and just like deflating when you realize that somebody's doing that to you when you really just wanted to get to know somebody. Holly, I wonder what your experience has been like.
You know what, the truth, it's okay. So I read this statistic. It's like this generation, this current generation, I feel like the baby boomers really and the millennials are kind of at war right now. And that's causing a lot of isolation to the point where, it's really not a safe world anymore. I mean, it's not really safe. The rate of people that are actually even doing in-home studying is 25%, something like that, 25 to 45%. And really, we're just being pushed more into charter school. Those that are still in school are being pushed more into charter learning, isolation learning, just kind of self-education. And that for some parents is going to really hinder some homes, because parents cannot do 24-hour parenting. It's just not done. But I have some great Armenian friends that they said that in Armenia, we were having a discussion about America versus Armenia, and both places can be celebrated. But in Armenia, kids can actually go out in the daytime. They can actually play soccer. They don't have to worry about getting sex trafficked, or, like when my niece is 2 right now, when she's older, I don't have to worry about her just going to the mall with her friends and someone picking her up. And do I have to worry about that now? Yeah, I kind of actually do, as a concerned aunt, and my sister being a concerned mother and her parents, but it's not okay, because in Armenia it's completely safe, in other places in the world, but it's like in America it's totally unsafe. And Diana, I agree with you as far as dating. It's like a crazy world out there. Dating is not what it used to be. You can't just date anymore. There is no such thing as just dating. What is dating to everybody? It's the weirdest thing. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to meet some really, awesome men, and, one in particular. And it's thank God I don't have to do that whole thing, because I have too much ADD in me. I'd be and I'm not trusting. I'm not a trusting person at all. So I would have no luck. So I'm glad Diana is having luck over there. I'm fortunate enough as far as that goes. I don't have to do that. But yeah, I just think that the world is so unsafe, and people should push education, and they should, for heaven's sake, monitor their social media, monitor their kids, because the kid is actually at home and they're being educated, and then the rest of that is going to go to internet time. What internet time are they going to do? Are they going to stay on Instagram? Do they get their own account? Do they know their own passwords? And the parents better be on lockdown as to what that password is, because somebody messaging you, you're that particular generation where you're just so accepting, and we're just going to go to the mall with, looking how we look, and I look 30 when I'm 15 type of thing. It doesn't work anymore like it used to. You can't just chill outside at 10 o'clock at night anymore. In some places, it just doesn't happen like it used to. I wish it did.
So I love that you brought up relationships. I mean, you guys are specifically in LA. I wanted to talk a little bit about deal breakers. It was interesting this week because I read about Rupert Murdoch. He had a fiance for a couple of weeks, and it was they announced the engagement, and then the next thing you know, you turned around and the engagement was off, and everybody was like, what happened? And so there was a little bit of intel that came out and said that his ex-fiance was pretty religious, but she also had this thing for Tucker Carlson, not a romantic thing, but she had expressed to Rupert that she felt like Tucker Carlson was a messenger from God. And I heard that Rupert Murdoch would go for a lot of things, but when he heard that, that's why she got dropped like a hot potato. He said, no, that's just too weird for me. So it just had me thinking about deal breakers, about, have you ever been in a situation and maybe you've been dating someone, it's kind of new, but they do something or they say something and you just go, nope, no further explanation needed. I think we're done here. So I'm very interested to hear about deal breakers. Eugenia, you're going to have to go way back for this, because I know me and you are the old married ladies on this.
Yeah, but I think relationships don't have to be specifically just romantic. And just
absolutely.
Speaking about Murdoch, he is a freaking deal breaker, okay? Because that guy has more issues than God himself, all right? So I'm sure, whatever the conversation was, I would never be around that guy, no matter how many billions he has. I think he's so messed up. The Succession show is definitely based on him. And I'm not with anybody who's a narcissist or psychopath. That's it. That's probably I have a very, strong tolerance for pain, just being in the industry, entertainment industry forever as a woman artist. But yeah, for me, that's the deal breaker. Recently, in non-romantic speaking relationship, we just moved to like a new house, and this contractor was mean to my dog, right? My dog, like he like pushed him around, and I stood up. I would punch this guy in the face. He would fly up the hill right off. I went after him. I said, we had a confrontation. This guy was talking over me. I came with my sunglasses. I'm like, you be mean to my dog, you're going over this hill right now, and I'm gonna be like Keanu. I'll find you, cut your throat in a very, very Eastern European way.
Oh my gosh. He was like, this escalated. I'm here to put in a fence. Like,
But guys, I believe if you're mean to animals, those creatures that can't speak back and do anything, and even like they're domesticated animals, but they're so pure and innocent. And like, I think I always bring my dog, to the show. Like a little, ball of happiness and sunshine, and just never been mean to anybody. He's a little of a guard dog, but if anybody is like that, I totally understand. John Wick, that's it. That's a deal breaker. But other than that, I'm very forgiving. I think nobody's perfect. Humans are flawed, all of us, and I try to understand a lot of times what happens. And I don't know, for good or bad, but I let people back into my life after they did pretty major mistakes, because it's so easy to, and it's so hard to say sorry and kind of grow through some problems in relationships, then abandon things. That's why being married for so long, I know that we're all just a mirror of each other, or each other's flaws, kind of thing. And it's much more interesting to grow through pain and being a better person through that than not going, than just like discarding people, like you say, and going to relationship shopping.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So we all know then Eugenia's deal breaker, her animals. You got to be kind to animals. Awesome. I love it. What about you, Holly? Have you
my deal break?
Well,
Yeah, my deal breaker should be a lot of things. My deal breaker is this, and it's all I attract. It's mama's boys who don't distance themselves, and they put their mamas in everything. And it's like all I attract. So I have to create those boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to, and then one, like, and then in the middle, like you're a lot like my mother. Oh my God, stop comparing me to your mom, type of thing.
Wait,
like I've had to work that.
You can tell. Is that the tip off, Holly? Is that what they usually? Is that the tip off? You remind me of.
No, not you remind me of my mother, but okay, like they'll go into some story. Oh, guys, I'm gonna get so in trouble. This person's in the media. Okay, so they went into a story about their, oh my God, I'm gonna get so in trouble. They went into the story about their mom, and they're like, I can tell you're a lot like her in that angle. I'm like, we're just what? And you say that? Like, what is going on here? Like, okay, no, I'm not. We need to get into this a little bit later. Wait until wait until there's no one around. Wait until your friends are gone. You and I are gonna circle back on this. That's why you better watch what pissed you off in your father with his mom, because it comes back. That sort of energy just comes back. So watch what made you mad. Watch what made you angry and pissed you off, so that you deal with that, so you don't attract that. And then, and boundaries are created. But yeah, that's just so lame to me. That's like that's my deal breaker. Like, stop involving, like you're stepping over stuff here.
That's such an interesting thing to attract. Maybe you're giving out strong maternal vibes, Holly.
I don't know what it is,
Diana,
girl. I don't even want to get into it.
Oh, my turn. So for me, it's just wait. I want to make sure you were done, because that's heavy. That's some heavy stuff right there. For me, I kind of take what didn't work in my previous relationships and, maybe use those as deal breakers. So my longest relationship was 5.5 years. nice guy, but had no ambition. And I'm someone who takes my career very seriously, and I'm like climbing up and up. And he was in a band, or he still is in a band. I don't know what he's doing. But he worked at a grocery store on the side, which is like fine. You have to make money some way, but like he had no ambition to get any other job except for his band making it famous. Like even I was like, you could be a studio musician. They make great money. No, I don't want to do anything for anyone else. Like I want my band to be famous. And I'm like, that mindset for me, it's not it. So that's one. Recently I just got out of like a 2-3 month thing with someone. Again, he was lovely, but he was recently divorced and we had a little baby mama drama. And she kind of just came back and threw a wrench in things. And, you know, that's his business. Listen, do I believe people need to be very cleanly separated and not, you know, still figuring out the what's yours, what's mine? No, you can easily move on with your life, but you have to mentally be mature enough to know that you've got that going on, but I'm still ready for something new. And unfortunately, this guy just was, not that this is a crap talking session, but he just was not in that place. And that for me, I'm like, okay, now I know next time, if it is someone who is divorced, if it is someone who has a child, I'm going to go in and say, you know, like, are you ready? Like, do you see yourself being married again? How soon do you see yourself in a relationship? Like, it's important to ask these questions because you don't want to put yourself through the pain of meeting someone. Like, we had a great connection, but then unfortunately, just because of, you know, the situation, we had to end things, and that was just upsetting. So no one wants to put themselves through that. But have you guys heard of, this is a little lighter, have you heard of the term the ick? Okay, so it's kind of a deal breaker, but it's a little bit sooner than like when you're on a first date and someone does something that turns you off, you call it the ick, and it's like you don't want to see that person. So my friend Sarah, she was talking to me, she's like, Diana, what's your ick on a date? And I was like, if a guy goes to touch me and like I'm not like connected at that point, like even if he puts his hand on my shoulder, like you just wrote yourself like a one-way ticket to buy, like no. And she goes, mine is when guys start rapping on dates. And I was like, that's a thing that happened to you? And she's like, yeah, twice. And I'm like, who are you dating?
It's so funny. Have you guys heard about this term zombieage? There was like ghosted, but now there's a new thing. It's called zombieage. It's very trendy among men. And it's basically guys who like come back, they like disappear and they keep coming back. And they kind of come back in patches, like over like the times, and they call them like, you know, just ghosted, you like zombied, you know.
I don't have time for that. I'm gonna do my best Walking Dead with the bat with the barbed wire and like no.
Oh no, that's hilarious. I had a zombie before. Now see, this is funny because I had a couple of zombies, but I had a zombie that was on a track to like go somewhere, do something, like it could have been something. And we dated for a while, and then it just kind of fizzled because we were long distance, and this was like the internet wasn't like it is now, so we kind of fizzled out. And then the summer that I met my husband, he tried to like reappear, like, hey, I'm done with the job I used to have, I'm looking at moving closer. And I was just like, you too late. I was like, I did like you, but you're late. I'm dating a dude now. He's dope. And, you know, within a year we were married. So it was like, you blew it, you know, you should.
He acted on it, Kay.
You like,
preach that real man. Preach it.
You know, you blew it. That's so funny. Zombies. That's hilarious. So now go.
We're all going to get in trouble.
I know. I was like, I hope this guy doesn't watch the show, but I hope he does. I don't.
And I'm going first, man. I'm singling out mama's boys. I did not mean to say that. I have nothing against mama's boys. I have nothing against, just for the record. Holly did not say she
follow Holly on Instagram. If you're a mama's boy, reach out to her, make her eat her words. So
I think mama's boys are really nice guys. You guys, if you go into psychology, I've been into so much. You don't want to be with a guy who hates their mother. You want to be with a guy.
But there's that balance. There's that, you know what I'm saying? There's that balance.
Because my goddaughter dated one of those and it was weird. And like, it's just like, you're too attached to your mom.
Yes, because Hollywood saying it's the attachment. It's not that he loves his mom, it's that his mom is always in the business.
A picture.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a cool show on Netflix. It's called Obsessed. I like love that show because it is so twisted, you guys, and it's all about like how we attract what our parents are and like all the same patterns and just analyze it and check it out. It is so freaking crazy. Next level.
Okay, this is interesting. I love that we're getting into relationships. We might as well roll into the next thing, which was have you guys heard about, well, Diana, I know because you're on top of everything pop culture, but my husband told me the other night, and it made me sit up. I did not believe. I was like, give me my phone and let me Google it. That Kylie Jenner and Timothee Chalamet are dating. I just could not. It just was a shocker to me. I could not fathom it. And not that I know Kylie Jenner really well. I've only seen a couple of episodes of the latest. I've never watched Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but just the regular Kardashians that they do now on Hulu. I watched a few episodes of that. And so I feel like I kind of know her. She isn't on there a lot, but but I was like, doesn't she have a baby? I didn't know she broke up with the rapper guy. I mean, maybe Timothee Chalamet rapped for her on a date, Diana, and then that's how it worked. I'm just like, okay, because we don't know these people, right? But it feels like the personas that they both put off are very different. And so my question to you guys is, it feels like it's an opposites attract situation. Have you personally ever been in a relationship or a friendship where it's been like that for you, where opposites truly have attracted? Oh, and do you think that's a thing, or do you think it's not really a thing? Diana?
So first of all, with Timothee and Kylie, I feel like their real personas are the opposite of what they project. Like Kylie is very showy on Instagram. Like you think she would be the life of the party, but when you watch her on like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, she's quieter, she has her fun and she has her makeup line in her business and she's very serious about that. But she's not like a Kim or Chloe where it's like all up in the center of attention. That's just not her. And then Timothee Chalamet, when I first heard of him, I thought he was British for the longest time. And then he speaks and he has this New York accent and like, he's like one of the boys. So it's like they're the opposites of each other. It's so meta. It's like the opposites of the opposites attracting. And also an interesting tidbit, he's very good friends with Pete Davidson, who did date Kim for the longest time, or not the longest, but for a decent amount of time. So, I wonder if there's any awkwardness with that connection. But as for me, I am a firm believer that opposites attract. I, as you probably know by now, have a very bold personality. I like to be the center of attention. There can only be one star in this relationship, and it's gonna be me. Even like if my partner, like my ex who was in a band, when he was at his shows, like, yes, he was on stage, but then after the show, he was very quiet, like deep thinker, Scorpio. He'd be like chilling to himself and I'd be schmoozing all like the talent for him. You know what I mean? Like the Kris Jenner behind the operation, like that's me. I always tend to go for a shy guy. I like my one friend, she wants to set me up with this one guy so badly. We went on one date, but he's just like me. And I'm like, I can't do that. It's just too much. It's too much. So I love a shy guy. Shy guys hit me up. Opposites attract.
Oh, I love it. That's so funny that you said it. It reminds me of this very, very funny Seinfeld episode where he dates Janine Garofalo. She's a character, and they're just exactly the same. They say the same things, the same intonations, same mannerisms, which is really funny. But my husband and I seem like we're opposites because my husband's a white guy, And so if we go anywhere, people are always like, can I help you? Can I help you? Like we're together. We're like, no, we're sitting at the same table. Like we're together, unless we have And so people assume that we're opposites. We're actually a lot alike. Like we're like twin souls. So what's so funny is my friend got married and we went down and met her fiance. And she was like, I'm very surprised that you have a big personality, but like he also has a big personality. Like, how does it work with both of you guys? Like, you're both like bubbly and fun and outgoing and talkative. And I was just like, I don't know. She was like, I was expecting him to be really quiet. I was like, oh no, girl, he ain't at all. So it's funny that we seem opposites, but we aren't really. What's your experience been with that, Eugenia? Do you think opposites attract, or
Okay, first of all, let's start with the gossip. It's Hollywood, you guys. Anything that gets marketing, which is opposites attract. God bless Kris Jenner, whoever created this whole couple alert is definitely monetizing on that. So, I just seen it all with all the PR agents setting it up. And if people want to date, they usually do it very privately, I think, especially in Hollywood, because you'll get ruined right away. There's just so much things that are happening under microscope and being all the time. It's really, really hard to keep relationships. But this is like such a huge alert and all the media news. I'm sure they have planned it. And I understand Hollywood, it's like it's all about the social climbing and the status. So, you become more famous if you date this person, and it's all for attention. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't care, whatever. But talking about attraction, I've been in therapy for such a long time, and I used to be attracted to musicians. I don't know what it is. Like every musician, I'll be the biggest groupie. I'll stalk.
I know what it is.
Literally backstage all the time since I was whatever, And then I thought about it. I'm talked to my therapist, and she's like, you need to find your voice, because we attract what we feel we don't have in ourselves. And that's why we're so drawn to another person, because we think we can get it from the exterior, and once you integrate that quality into yourself, you actually don't project or really possessively need that person, no matter what qualities they have. You kind of are more connected on a deeper level, that you understand the person, but it's not oh my God, I don't have this quality, and I always want to be a rock star, but now I need to date a rock star. And it's the opposite. I can't sing a note. I can play a singer, but I can't sing. I mean, not that any therapy helped. I'm still backstage at every show. Yeah, I think it's an interesting thing. With my husband, I noticed that through a lot of acting work, because it's so internal and it's so deep, and I work on this course, it's the lucid body, it's called, and you become this animals or whatever, and then you see where your chakras are blocked, basically all these energetic things. And I felt like my solar plexus chakra was very blocked because I was so insecure, and I found that in my husband, because he's so secure and almost overdoing it. And that's how I realized I really, when I met him, I'm okay, I want this in a guy, because I felt like I was so shy and I really needed that. But now I feel like I'm asserting that. So our relationship is changing really much in dynamic. If I looked at him for speaking up all the time, I really took my time to work on myself and find that voice and stand up for myself and set boundaries, which was not the case even a couple of years ago.
That's awesome. That's such a cool example. The idea, that's so funny that Diana was yep, I go for the same guy too. But it is interesting that her guys, on stage, he's this talented, magnetic person, but then behind the scenes is really quiet, and so she's still able to assert herself and be herself. That's so interesting. What about you, Holly? Do you think opposites attract, relationships or friendships, either way?
I do. I think that it's really weird. My parents, I didn't see. I've always favored opposites attracting. My parents were extroverts the entire time they were together, which was not long, but they had known each other before they were married. And then they kind of had to know each other afterward, because they just kind of stayed friends, whatever they, for our sake, for the kids' sake, how that goes. So basically they were extroverts, but my father swamped my mother's personality on extrovert. Totally. And he was a Gemini. So it was when it was at you, it was way at you. And then when he was quiet, it was that's it. Ain't nobody getting no life of the party around me, type of thing. And then my mother, she thought she was an introvert because he took over the show. And so then she became from phlegmatic, oh, I'm so introverted, everyone's telling me I am, and maybe I am too. We're right after she divorced him, boom, like there was this whole nother person that came right up out of her. So it was the weirdest thing. And then that's why I don't favor that, because I grew up with a strong woman. She was always a strong woman to me. And so she was like, don't do that. Just don't do that. You know, and so I was like, I agree. I'm seeing the transformation. I agree. This is not healthy. So she's like, don't do it. Don't marry a guy that's like just your personality. She's like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know who I was. And now I know who I am. And so it's just the weirdest thing like that. I do believe opposites can attract. I believe a connection is a connection. I don't care what sign you are. I don't care if you're an introvert or an extrovert. When it's love, it's real. When it's chemistry, it's real. When it's chemistry, and we all know what chemistry really is. So that's what my take is.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. When it's chemistry, who cares what your sign is? All the other stuff goes out the window. Yeah, you see those sparks fly. Hopefully you can maintain it, right? You can keep it going. So somebody mentioned Succession earlier. I think was it Eugenia that said, I feel like that Rupert Murdoch's life is really, really Succession. So
Yeah.
let's move into, speaking of Succession, is Emmy season has begun. The Emmys will be sometime September, beginning of September, but Emmy voting is coming up in the next few weeks. And so everybody's talking about, what deserves nominations. And so I wanted to hear from you guys. What were your top picks for drama and comedy for Emmys? As we know, Emmys is all television. You might have some little TV movies sprinkled in there, but mostly it's television series and then a few maybe limited series. So what do you guys think about? What are some of your top picks? We'll start with Diana.
Definitely White Lotus. Give Jennifer Coolidge all the awards in the history of the world. That woman is just amazing. And she's an example of someone like, when you fully embrace who you are, like good things just flow to you. Like I could not be happier for her. I also love Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. Selena Gomez, Martin Short, Steve Martin. What like an unlikely trio. And they just have the best chemistry on screen. I am obsessed with them. I like Abbott Elementary. I don't get to watch a lot of it, but like when I'm with my family, my mom loves that show. So definitely, what's her name? Quinta Brunson. Oh my God. She's hysterical. I remember her from her BuzzFeed days, and she's always been hysterical.
Same.
So I'm just happy that she's, getting the limelight that she deserves. I would like to lobby for the Real Housewives. They never get nominated for anything, but like they turn up. Look at the Vanderpump Rules people. Like they're making headlines left, right, and center. How about we get them an award? This is their real life, and they're putting it on display for us.
But Diana, they're not getting nominated for reality TV.
I don't know if any of the housewives ever have been. I know Watch What Happens Live. I can fact check myself, but I'm not sure if it has. I know it's been nominated for like People's Choice Awards. Mm-hmm. But Emmys, I'm not sure.
That's crazy. Because how many spinoffs they have of that franchise, how many seasons that franchise has been running. I mean, I trust you. Emmys can be snooty sometimes, but it's reality TV. That's a whole category. Why wouldn't they be?
Yeah, no, Below Deck has been nominated, which for those of you who don't know, that's like the show on the yacht. They all work on the yacht. Right. Top Chef. But yeah, I don't know if the Real Housewives have ever been nominated.
I would be, if I was a Real Housewife, I would be heated right there. I would be frustrated at that fact.
Yeah, I'm double checking just because now I'm like super curious, but
I trust you. You're a Housewives expert, girl. I trust what you say.
They haven't been nominated. It's just weird.
It is weird. I love White Lotus. I've only seen the first season of White Lotus. I watch everything edited, so it has to come up on my editing app. The editing app is like months behind because it takes somebody has to go and manually do it. So I just recently, like maybe 2 weeks ago, got to watch White Lotus. My husband and I watched it in like 2 nights. It was so good.
So good.
Crazy. So I am like highly anticipating season 2. I'm mad because everybody else has seen season 2. So I'm like, no spoilers, no spoilers. So you can tell me, Diana, because it's gonna be nominated. If it's nominated this season, it'll be for season 2. It won't be for season 1 because they already got
right
last year. So do you think season 2 deserves the nomination?
100%. 100%. Yeah, I know, it's so funny because I was pretty late to watching White Lotus. I had watched both seasons in December. So it was like one had been out for a while and two was just finishing. And I had finished one and I was like, oh, that was so good. And everyone's like, wait till you watch season 2. And it took me a couple episodes and I was like, this is good. The way that season 2 plays out, and this isn't a spoiler, it's like if you watched it with no breaks, it could be like a movie. Like it could just be like a very long movie. It was very cinematic. The plot was great. Again, Jennifer Coolidge, give her all the things in the world. Like, love her.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see it.
Yeah.
All right. So, okay, yeah. Me, you, White. I'm like White Lotus. Yeah, we match on Abbott Elementary. It's great. I personally think that the first season was better than the second season for me because I think the principal, Ava's character, Janelle James is the actress, is just a standout. She's just hilarious at every turn. She's a comedian, so she's just really used to. I mean, I just think it's fabulous how you have 3 Black women leads on a show, and they're all completely and totally different. They're all so different and also funny in their own way. And then you have Lisa Ann Walters' character, who is so Philly. I mean, you were like, my mom lives at
yes,
they're New Jersey, and I lived in Philly, so I can see so much Philly. And I'm like,
that's what I was gonna say too, because like my family now lives in South Jersey, and back when Jim Gardner, who is big, for those of you who don't know, he was a big anchor like on ABC 6 out there for years. He just retired, and they showed a clip of Abbott Elementary. One of the teachers was like, I love Jim Gardner, and I'm like, this is the cutest thing ever.
100%. That's so funny. So I was shocked that people got it. I was like, everybody else gets it, because there's so many like Philly things baked into it. It's such a Northeast, like that. Is so Philly. It's so Northeast. Like I love it so much. Holly, what about you? What are some of your top picks for Emmys this year?
I've been hearing a lot about Jason Sudeikis, you know, that, yeah. That he and, shoot, who is that one actress? I know, No Housewives, right? That's shocking to me, especially of all the shows that are coming out, right? We just watched that one reality show, remember? That one reality show, what was it? Diana knew it.
But the Vanderpump Rules?
No, the other one. It was
when were we talking about it?
The couple that doesn't have any chemistry, the couple that in the media, remember, it was the one that didn't have any chemistry. The one that I
Love
hosted.
Is Blind.
Yes, Love is Blind. That, like, shows like that. I don't know why they're not getting, anyway. Moving on, you know, Jason, and who's the female? Who's this lady? I don't know a lot of the women. They all deserve one to me. They're mad props. They work hard. But I've been hearing a lot about Jason Sudeikis, and I think it's because of all those women who be watching when their husbands go to sleep. They'll be watching Netflix after hours, like 10 p.m. Okay, time to go.
But he's adorable. Ted Lasso, he's adorable. He's like Ned Flanders come to life. Mustache. He's like Oakley Dokley, like the stuff is so corny. Like I just like, but he does. He does have beautiful women on his show, and the women that are on his show really hold his show up and hold his show together. He's hilarious in that show, and I'm late to Ted Lasso. It's up on the editing app now. I watched a bunch of seasons like in 1 week. I watched multiple seasons, and I'm with you. I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think it's really unique, like that whole fish out of water thing. And I don't know much about like British culture. I don't know if you do, Holly.
A lot, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, I don't know anything about British culture, so I'm like, they're doing what and what, and I don't even know any soccer rules. I was like, well, why is it such a big deal that they're doing this? And so I was all off the page, like, yeah.
You know, they get snobbier about it than we do. I guarantee you, they don't just know it, and they don't just have their nominees. They are up in it. They know they know everybody on the credits, and they're opting to be on the credits themselves. One of my British friends is radical about this. They will not let it down. So,
what about you, Eugenia? What are some of your top picks for Emmy?
Well, it's so funny. I'm actually against the awards in general. Just I feel art is so subjective, and I'm on the voting panel for the Emmys at the Television Academy. If you guys are actors, you can apply, you can submit your project for Emmys. It's an amazing community. I feel they're much more together because in television you work so hard for so many days. So I found an amazing community. Like, please apply. You can be part of the academy at any time if you have a couple of credits. They're definitely like very supportive of artists, but it's so fascinating to me that we all are attracted to such dark characters. Like, I love White Lotus, but for me, it's an interesting, fascinating relationship between classes, right? It's all about classism and how the rich hate the service, and the service hates the rich. And I can see that. I mean, the next season, please make it happen in our house because our contractors suck. Okay. Like, I don't know, I heard crazy things in LA. People threw nails last time they were building a house, and my kids were swimming in the pool. So you really have to watch out. And some of contractors apparently come from like gangs and just like insert themselves as contractors. So now I'm like watching out for that. But it's so true. There's just such a...
Wait. I want to say you're afraid of the contractor after you told him, I will kill you in a European.
Afraid. I'm not afraid.
Fashion. All the gangsters now are scared to come to Eugenia house. These tough guys like, listen, don't go down around the corner. She said she will cut me. She has a Russian accent. I'm not playing with her.
And thank God they better watch out because I'm watching out for them. I came from Food Lines, but I think fair is fair, and you have to treat every human the same way you want to be treated. I believe it. And it's interesting, the housewives, it's all the drama, how people's lives fall apart, and we're like obsessed about it. My favorite things, going one shade like darker in a sense, is Pretty Baby. I was fascinated by that documentary about Brooke Shields. I literally couldn't watch it because it just broke my heart from the beginning. And I can understand some parts of it. I can't understand what she actually went through, but being 11 selling sexy clothes, it's kind of like traumatic, and you think it's okay, you normalize it, so for me, watching that documentary kind of made it not okay. And also there's a huge controversy about Karl Lagerfeld and Met Gala today, because honestly, there's this one girl who started Model Alliance protecting models, and she said, Karl used to body shame people and be very mean. And that happened to me, you guys. I was fired because I spoke too much. Like, I literally worked there 1 year for summer, and I was a fit model. And one day I came back and they're like, oh, you're fired. And I'm like, okay, did it not fit the clothes or something? They're like, no, you speak too much. I'm like, all I said was hi, like, just trying not to be a hanger. So I don't know. I think exposing something that people don't know actually happens behind the scenes is very important. I think we're the place where there's a lot of really courageous people who are there to elevate our society to the next human level. And I'd be part of the movement anytime, and any kind of thing that I watch. Like, I know also, like, very dark, Jeffrey Epstein's list, like all people on his list, like CIA person who had lunch with him after it went public. And I'm like, yay, let's celebrate, because at least it's out there. We can know there's so much in the world that a lot of times we're unaware, and can just watch the screen and kind of roll with that, rather than see as humans and understand why we're so attracted to the shadow side of our humanity. And instead of like going out and connecting with somebody, we would rather watch the darkest characters on screen and kind of binge watch it. So I don't know, just a food for thought.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. I think we were talking with Diana about Pretty Baby a few weeks ago, and just saying like the interviewing and stuff around it was just like disgusting when Brooke Shields was coming up. Just like how the media treated her was just nuts. It was insane. Yeah. So I can definitely say like that's on my list. I've been listening to a lot of interviews with her promoting it and talking about it. Is on my to watch list, of course. And since you're talking about it now, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta watch it before the nominations roll out. But for me, when it comes to limited series, so we'll get to drama and comedy, but like Oh, if you guys have not seen Beach, once again, I had to watch it. It had to come up on my editing app. It came up like this. Like they must have known that a lot of people were going to want to watch it because it was ready to edit like the day it came out. And for me as a Black woman, it was so exciting to see an all Asian cast. Like almost every single person on that cast is Asian. And then you just don't see that. I mean, I haven't seen that, not in a limited series. I mean, we saw it with Everything Everywhere All at Once, you know, in a movie. But to see it in a limited series was insane. Ali Wong is amazing. Steven Yeun is amazing. There's not a wasted character. Every single side character just takes their part and kills it. There's a weird thread running through about crows and their memories. I mean, it's just like, it blew my mind. The basis of it is two people that have beef with each other following a road rage incident, and it just goes to the 100th power. Like the places these people go, you guys cannot imagine, but I recommend it to anybody who likes something that unfolds and unwinds, like it just has multi-layers. It's so much of that. And it's so Southern California. There's just like so many pieces of it that are genius, and it's really smart. And I just thought it was funny and thoughtful and deep and interesting and just really well acted and well done. So that's my vote for limited series. I hope that they at least get a nomination. When it comes to drama, I'm like you guys. I like White Lotus. I thought it was great. I love Better Call Saul. I just watched Better Call Saul a few months ago because once again, it just came up for editing. And Nacho is like my favorite character of all time. I'm like, how has Nacho never been nominated? I hear that Bob Odenkirk has never won an Emmy for Saul either. And Saul has like, what, 7? This was like his 7th or 8th season. I just can't imagine that he's never been nominated or never won an Emmy. That's insane to me because he's amazing in that role. And then when it comes to comedy, I am definitely all about Abbott. I love Abbott Elementary. And then I'm a slow newcomer to Ted Lasso. But man, Ted Lasso is so funny. So many just so many jokes. I feel like pound for pound is one of the funniest shows out there. I mean, there's just line after line after line. And then there's just, it's a really unique storyline. And I learned a lot about British culture that I would never know, random things. And so, yeah, so I'm really excited, as you can probably tell, for the upcoming Emmy season. I love the Emmys. I don't feel like Eugenia feels. I mean, some people are like, you can't judge art. I love to judge everything. So, bring it on. I like to fight about everything. It's like a sport to me. Like, I really feel like it's like I have a team, you have a team. We'll be like, White Lotus, no, Better Call Saul, and we can have it out and go back and forth. But yeah, so this has been a great conversation, guys. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for our viewers for joining us today on the FNL Network Talk Show. Do you guys have any projects upcoming or any way that our viewers can follow you, maybe online or social media? We'll start with you, Diana.
At Diana Gebbia. Gebbia is Gebbia on Instagram and TikTok. I also write for Sift Pop, the LA Girl, and Sky Magazine.
Awesome. What about you, Holly?
You can follow me at Higher Living Holly, of course. What's basically going to be on there is a lot of traveling because that's what I'm doing. I'm book signing. In fact, right now I'm not even in like LA. I'm in another place at a friend's house. Never do this signal stuff at a friend's house. Plan it better. Anyway, on to the next topic. No, just book signing, hosting, movies and supporting role, just signed with new representation. So hopefully all goes well with 3 more supporting roles that are, you know, in short films. That'll be good. And yeah, just basically painting too. So yeah.
Awesome.
I Higher Living on.
Renaissance woman. I love it. What about you, Eugenia?
Well, guys, you can find me on the old-fashioned Instagram because apparently among other jobs that I do, somehow they categorize me as an influencer. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I have so many projects that I'm passionate about. I created Models of Comedy. It's a stand-up show to give people who don't have a voice and kind of started conversations. I'm very passionate about that. I also have Operation Fortune, which is a Guy Ritchie's film out now. did a last film with Bruce Willis. God bless him, love his art and everything else. And have a bunch of films that I'm working on, and a play by Joanna Pickering, my friend, who wrote a play Cat and Mouse, which is all about power and dynamics and different kind of settings with gender and whatsoever. And yeah, and I'm very excited, guys. Check out George Lopez Foundation. I was supposed to play golf, but I couldn't today for the kids, who have like cancer, and like giving them back. So yeah, lots of philanthropies are coming out, working with wolves and wild nature to support the environment as well.
Awesome. I love to hear that you're an influencer, Eugenia. You're a good influence. You're such a good influence. I love that, you as an influencer. So I am Kay. You can catch me at HostKay, HostKay on Instagram. You can also catch my podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It is called Black Crew Call with Kay Montgomery. I go behind the scenes and talk to cinematographers, location managers, music composers, all kind of people that work behind the scenes in film and television that are African American. So hopefully you can check it out and support it. That is all for this time. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys next time.